Welcome to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski, where women redefine wealth, power, and possibility. Today, we're talking about women entrepreneurs and money, but not just earning it, but owning it. How do you raise capital for your company without giving up control? How do you negotiate from strength when every dollar counts? And what's the biggest business mistake even the smartest women make? My guest today stands at the intersection of finance and female leadership, showing us how confidence, not compromise, is the real currency of success. This is a masterclass in owning your value and your vision. Today's topic is women who control capital. I'm joined by Laurie M. Founder, director, and CEO of Onyen Corporation. She's the principal director and co-founder of Canchek Corporation and the principal and founder of Smarten Institute. Laurie, welcome to Empowered. I'm so happy to have you here today.
It is a pleasure to be with you, Liz. And I want to say something, and I want everybody to understand this very clearly. What you're doing is exactly what the topic is about, and that is you're owning your own voice and your own, direction. What you're doing with your show is exactly that. And so thank you for bringing it to the forum, and thank you for making women's voices heard more prevalently everywhere.
Oh, thank you so much, Laurie. And that's why you're here, because we want to hear your voice. You have started, I don't know how many companies. You've got 3 on the go right now. So let's talk about, why do so many women focus on revenue but ignore ownership?
That's a great question, Liz. We're taught from birth to earn income, not to build assets. Um, okay, I'm going to give you examples as I go through all of this because I want to bring it to a very simple premise so that everyone understands it. It's like getting paid to babysit instead of owning the daycare. Owning means the money keeps coming. It keeps coming even when you're not working. That is something we all understand very clearly.
So what does owning the cap table actually mean then?
It's interesting to have all these technical terms when it surrounds uh, business ownership and being able to actually parlay that into a successful exit. And all it means, it's very simple. It means controlling who owns your company and how much of it you keep. It's very simple. It's like a pizza. Okay, here we go again with my examples.
I love it.
I do this to everyone, okay? I always give very simple examples. It's like a pizza. Deciding how many slices you keep and how many you give away. It's that simple. The more slices you give away, the less you have. That's the cap table.
Okay, so there's a lot of women who start up their companies and they want to raise capital. When they raise capital, what are they actually giving up?
What are they giving up? Or, when you're raising capital? Well, okay. So raising capital, everybody these days, everybody wants to raise capital. All these kids, you're seeing all these wonderful kids and influencers and wonderful people that will say, "Oh, I raised 10 million. I raised 20 million. I raised 100 million." You know what? This is Onyen is my 6th company. Onyen is the first time I've ever gone out to raise capital. Everything else I have not. Why? Because it's about control. It's about influence. And sometimes your future exit. It's like letting someone, it's like someone else helps you build your tree house. Here we go.
Yeah,
But now they get to decide what it looks like.
right.
Okay. And they might decide to sell it when you're not ready. So you really have to understand what capital raising really means.
Okay, so
It's
Laurie, hold on to that thought because we've got to go to commercial break. We will continue about what a capital raise is and then doing it without losing control. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's topic is women who control capital. So, Laurie, before we went to break, we were talking about raising money. And when you raise capital, what are you really giving up? So please continue.
what what I want everyone to understand is that you don't have to raise capital actually. Okay. When I did this last time, I've had 6 companies, as you know. And you really don't have to, because what you have to do is really, put the money out of your pocket, put it into the business, do it the old fashioned way, and then make sure that the money, there's cash flow, and cash flow is king.
Yep.
So if you bring in cash, you do not have to raise capital. It is not always the answer to all. Capital raising is actually losing control.
So, okay, so how do you raise money without losing control then?
Well, then you raise strategically. You raise strategically. You negotiate the terms extremely hard. You and you never fund from desperation. What does that mean? You don't go out when you need to actually raise the capital. If you want to raise capital, you do it well beforehand, or when you're really in a position where you say, "Hey, you know what? We're really doing well. Let's raise some capital." It's really it's almost the antithesis of what it should be doing. Typically, people will think of raising capital when they absolutely need to. No, you do it when you don't need to. It's like, for example, here we go again with my little quips and little examples. It's like choosing a teammate for a game. You don't just pick anyone because you're losing. The wrong teammate can make you lose. You can cost you the whole game.
Okay, so let's talk about terms. What terms in a term sheet should absolutely scare you?
And here comes the rub. Oh, Liz, I've been through this so many times. And that is, if they want board control, absolutely walk away. Okay. Liquidation preferences. In other words, on an exit, I want all sorts of things. And aggressive anti-dilution clauses. What's anti-dilution? In other words, they say, well, I'm going to come in I've given you, for example, I've given you $2 million, and I'm going to ask you to provide me with 10% of the company. And I don't care who you sell to, but I'm still going to get 10%, no matter if you bring in other shareholders. If you bring in other money, I still have to maintain my 10%. Well, no, that's not going to fly, because all of us, when we start businesses, for example, I've always, um, but created an employee ownership model in all my businesses. Okay. And it's just something I believe in. And I do it because I think it's the right thing to do, because there's skin in the game for everyone,
Mhm.
and everyone wins at the end of it all. But by doing so, if there was an anti dilution clause, then all of a sudden they have more shares than everyone else. And that's just not right. It's not a
Right.
fair result. So it's like someone saying, I'll help you, but I get to take all of the I get to make all the rules and then take the biggest prize. And you may end up doing all the work for very little reward.
Right. So, less than a minute to go. We're talking about deals and we're talking about your company. When should you walk away from a deal?
Well, okay. So when okay, When do you walk away from a deal? Um, well, let's see here. When do you walk away from a deal? Um, Let me think about that for a second. I've walked away from a lot of deals, okay?
Right,
That's the
Right.
first thing you should. I have walked away from tremendous amount of deals. Uh, it's when the capital costs you your voice. If someone gives you money but won't let you speak or decide anything, that's not a good deal.
right.
Your voice is part of your value. Don't trade it away.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back with more. Your voice is part of the value. Do not trade it away. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. Today's topic is women who control capital. Laurie, let's talk about building companies. You just hear about people starting companies and just wanting to sell it. Should you build to sell from day one?
Yes. Short answer.
Okay.
Absolutely yes. Design for value, even if you never ever sell. Um, okay, so how do I set you up with an example of this? Oh, I know. Okay, women will relate to this. Okay,
Okay.
and now I hope I'm not being if I hope I'm not being a little too facetious with all of these examples. However, it's like keeping your house so clean and so nice that somebody wants to buy it, but you don't have to sell. So building it right gives you choices later.
Okay. So, with all the choices that you have, what makes a company actually acquirable then?
Well, that's easy, and it starts right from the lemonade stand. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to give you an example of a lemon. It starts from, when all the kiddies on the street are having lemonade stands. Well, what are they doing? Well, they have predictable revenue, they have clean governance, and they have scalable systems. So the lemonade stand, it makes you money every day. It's well organized and it can grow into a big shop. Can you imagine what the kids are, I mean, if the kids had that, they would love it. But buyers want something that works without fixing it first.
Okay. So, buyers and sellers, you're trying to sell your home. You think that your home is worth so much money. Why do most founders overvalue their company as well?
And this is an age-old problem. And I've sold 3 companies. And I'm in the middle of a transaction with another one. Um, and this is something that I've learned, after the first one. And it took me about the first one and almost into the
Yeah.
second one. They we price emotion, okay?
Yep.
We as women tend to price emotion, whereas the buyer is pricing market reality. And that's the big disconnect right there. Okay. It's okay. For example, I have an old toy and it's for me, it's worth a lot because I love it. But no one is going to pay that much money for my old toy. Okay. Unless, of course, that old toy is a rare antique car,
Mhm.
and then only the collectors might pay for it. But they'll negotiate a good deal as well. So value is what someone else is willing to pay, not what it means to you.
So, it's interesting because you talked about the emotional aspect of it. And I had Reese Tomlinson on a little while ago talking about the emotions of selling your company. How do you prepare emotionally to sell something that you build? Because there is so much that encompasses who you are with that company.
Absolutely, Liz. And in my first business, absolutely, I was an emotional wreck. Because it was the family business and it was 75 years worth of a business.
Oh,
And there was so much invested in it, and there was so much history, and there was so much, results from it. I mean, and you see it all over Canada, actually, because it was we used to have a granite manufacturing business, and it was the first, and we used to build all sorts of building facings. And so here, for example, Niagara Falls, in Niagara Falls, King George VI, we did that. So there was a lot of emotion in order to sell that one. That one was hard. However, you have to remember you're selling an asset. And it's not your identity. And that comes with experience and time. And it's like, for example, you have a drawing or a painting, and you're selling it, and you made that painting and drawing. Well, you're still you, even after it's gone. It's not
true,
like you've disappeared anywhere. You can
true.
always create something new. And that's one
Hold
thing
that
I've
thought,
learned by
Laurie.
doing.
Sorry. Hold that thought. We'll be right back with more. Welcome back to Empowered. I'm Elizabeth Naumovski. I'm joined by Laurie M. Clark, founder, director, and CEO of Onyen Corporation. She's the principal director and co-founder of Canchek Corporation and the principal and founder of Smarten Up Institute. Laurie, my apologies. I had to cut you off. We had to go to commercial break. Please continue on with the emotional intelligence.
Well, thank you very much. What it means is when you're selling your company, you have to remember that it's not really it's not you. You're not selling yourself. Okay, you're selling an asset, and you're still going to be you even after it's gone. And in fact, what I did is I started another company, and
Yeah.
then started when I sold that one, I started another one. So you see, and then by the middle of the second one, I realized I really was just building an asset. It's not me. I'm not. Yes, I can invest my hopes and my aspirations to the company, and I will build it from the start to be a very successful endeavor as best as I can. However, I want to I make sure that I do everything right to add as much value to the company as I can so that there is a successful exit.
So I want to talk about women in power. Why do you believe women don't talk openly about money and power?
Well, and I've wondered about that for many, many years, because it is something that I talk about all the time, and it surprises me at times as to how many women have difficulty with that, and it's because I believe we're conditioned to be agreeable, not authoritative. Um, we're always told to be nice, to and to be a little more demure and quiet instead of speaking up and leading. And leadership requires your voice to be heard.
Mhm.
And so that is something that I speak to very, often, is that use your voice. Don't let it be hidden.
I think that's important. And that seems to come up a lot as a theme on Empowered. And I want to talk about this too, because this is also important. And it was part of the introduction that I wrote. What's the biggest mistake smart women make in business?
Underestimating their leverage. You know how much leverage one has when you're in business? It's incredible. And or even if you're not in business, okay, even if you're not in business, or and you have a particular passion about a particular endeavor,
Mhm.
Don't underestimate your leverage. It's like having, okay, okay, you're in a card game. You have a
Mhm.
strong card, but you don't realize it. You don't realize that you can win if you you can win with it. So if you don't use your strength, no one else will.
Yeah, that's important. And I love the way that you had summed that up. Last question. We have less than 30 seconds left. If you could teach one financial truth to every woman watching, what would that be?
Okay. Okay, 30 seconds.
Mhm.
Own equity. Own equity. Because how do I put it all the time? Income pays the bills. Ownership builds freedom. I say that often.
I love it. Laurie's closing words of wisdom are revenue builds confidence, ownership builds freedom. If you want real power, understand where the equity sits and make sure your name is on it. No one hands you power, you structure it. Learn how money moves, learn how deals are built, and never be afraid to sit at the table where decisions are made. Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.